Hey everyone, good morning, good morning. It's 12 o'clock with me. I don't know where you are in the world, but either good morning, good evening, or very, very early good morning, I suppose. Welcome to another AMA. This is Tim here from Commonwealth, and I'm just waiting for the guys from Analog to join us. Eric, you're here. I'm going to invite you up to the stage. There we are. I think I have Eric here as co-host as well. Um, I'm just going to pin some posts here. Eric, do you want to just introduce yourself quickly whilst I get to pinning the posts?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Eric. I'm the head of BD at Analog. I've been in Analog for about a year and a half now. Previously, I was the head of growth at Parity, the company behind Polkadot, and also ran a hedge fund in Korea called ROK Capital, which invests in various crypto things. Yeah, happy to be here today and talk about Commonwealth and Analog and anything else.
That's awesome, Eric. Yeah, nice to hear your voice again. I'm looking forward to getting some updates from you and also from the whole analog ecosystem. I'm sure it's going to be, powerful updates as well. You're one of my favorite projects in the space right now. I'm really high hopes, man, high hopes. Just a quick one. Do you have anything you want me to pin? If you do, just drop it in our group and I'll pin it up here. Otherwise, let's get into it. I'm going to do a very quick intro, just frame the conversation a little bit for those of you who are joining us, and then we'll dive right in. It's going to be a short and I think high level AMA. So hopefully people's attention spans are like, super dialed in and we're not going to bore people to death too much. I've been on some spaces in the last couple of days and it's, monologue after monologue and, even hours of spaces. I don't know how people do it. Anyway, that's not going to be us. We're going to keep it really high level. Um, so yeah, just welcome everybody to the AMA with Analog, and the reason we're having this AMA is to give the community, All Street community, but also Analog's community, a quick update on what is happening with Analog. What are the sort of notable achievements from the team? What's coming up? What can we expect? What do they need from All Street? What do they need from us going forward? And yeah, just kind of touching base. So the reason we do that, of course, is that Analog is one of the star-studded projects that is inside the first ever fund on Commonwealth. If you remember correctly, it was the only fund in the world that's on chain. It was the only fund in the world that was earn to own. So people couldn't actually buy into this fund. You had to earn it with your time and with your energy and with your focus and with your dedication. And 1.6 million unique activations proved that a lot of people wanted to come into this fund. And we hope that Analog, you guys enjoyed the experience of getting this sort of like guerrilla engagement from All Street community. And yeah, now the sort of the business end of the fund is here, I suppose, where projects are coming to market. They're starting to launch, and their tokens will enrich the fund long term. So we're here to basically hear from Eric if things are on track, and how's it going over there at Analog, Eric?
Yeah, I think this is a really good time to speak to the community because things are going actually very swimmingly right now. So we launched our incentivized testnet and public testnet middle of April. And since then, we've gotten a lot of activity. So for example, on our testnet itself, we have about in total 1.1 million visiting users and about 170,000 active accounts right now. Basically, uh, like weekly active accounts, and about 200,000 plus monthly active accounts. And this is also considering the fact that we actually just opened it to the broader community about a week ago, for the more kind of community oriented incentivized testnet features, whereas before it was mainly for developers. So even on the developer side back then, we already got a ton of developer activity and contributions to the network during the testnet. And now that the community is on board, kind of the accounts and kind of the user base has increased significantly since then. Yeah, so basically the incentivized testnet is going very well. We are launching validators very soon on the testnet. So right now the testnet is still kind of centralized, but that won't be for long. So validators will be available around end of this month. And then afterwards, we are essentially gearing up for a few apps that are launched on top of Analog that I think we also will add some airdrop / incentivization mechanics to those apps that are launched on top. So you guys should take note of that. And then we're basically kind of gearing up for the mainnet launch in a few months. So hopefully 2 to 3 months or less. So everything's going according to plan at the moment.
Awesome, awesome. There was a lot in there. So for people who might not know what Analog is, do you want to, I mean, just everything you described makes me think, oh, this is another kind of layer one network, but of course it's not, right? What is Analog bringing to the Web3 ecosystem that's not here already?
Yeah, we kind of view ourselves as more of a quote unquote layer zero, if you could see it that way. And the reason we call it that is that Analog is an interoperability platform. It has its own blockchain, but the whole purpose of that blockchain is to facilitate cross-chain transactions. So we essentially want to connect all the blockchains in the world as more layer ones and layer twos pop up, basically connect them to each other and apps that are on these blockchains to each other. So really kind of what really I think what makes us unique is we really kind of take everything from a very product focused approach. So we're essentially developing the full product suite to allow any developer to build the full interoperability stack and create as powerful of a cross-chain application as it can. And we essentially have the right products to do that. And I think our product focus combined by how our infrastructure is designed and how it's pushed out makes us very unique amongst this kind of interoperability space right now.
That's incredible. So, just a couple of questions, and I don't want to bore people to death with too much technical detail, but if you're an existing project that's, let's say, inside the ERC20, kind of ecosystem, how would it look and feel to try to integrate into Analog then? What are the frictions and the language issues?
Yeah, essentially what you would do is you would have ERC20 smart contracts or EVM smart contracts deployed on multiple chains, right? So you would have that
Yeah.
logic deployed on multiple chains. And in the current version of Analog, essentially you use what's called the GMP SDK, which is our general SDK for all developers to kind of interact with the Analog blockchain, which we call the time chain, as well as like all these cool interoperability features. And then you essentially use that SDK to kind of connect these smart contracts together from different chains. In the future, maybe in medium future, we're also planning on potentially allowing you to do that directly from the Analog blockchain itself. So basically, you won't have to develop, like, let's say, multiple separate EVM smart contracts on different chains, but you might just be able to host a smart contract, like let's say on Analog, and that will automatically allow you to kind of connect to all these different chains natively. But essentially, the first version already kind of works pretty well, but then I think there's even more kind of innovation that we can accomplish within this ecosystem.
Totally, yeah, I would agree, and I think actually I see Tony's in the audience here today. Tony obviously leads the tech from the Commonwealth side. I'm sure his interest is peaking in what you're saying, because obviously Commonwealth is a DApp as well. We're native to Base blockchain, but just by virtue of what Commonwealth does, we have portfolio projects that are across pretty much all chains, and it will be like that, more and more in the future. So it is quite difficult to imagine how to interact across all those different chains. So something like Analog is a great solution potentially once you guys are live and have kind of proved the concept and everything's sort of watertight. So yeah, fantastic, man. Congratulations up until now. So I suppose like for we're in crypto, and a lot of people in the community will be wondering, what's the outlook for launching Analog's token and things like that. Do you have any special plans? Is there anything you can talk about, or is it all very kind of the sort of like hush hush and kind of have to wait and see?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not totally hush hush. There's some very high level details I think we can disclose. So currently we are in discussions with various centralized exchanges and token sale platforms, etc., to kind of determine the best way to launch the analog token. But what we are relatively sure on is that we will try to launch a token around like basically the same time as the mainnet launch. So within hopefully 2 to 3 months from now, if everything something doesn't go wrong. And so far, these discussions seem to be very smooth. So we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, right? But essentially, we believe we're at the right stage of discussions for kind of a very successful token launch with those types of entities. In addition, we are also looking to do a Series A pretty soon before our mainnet launch. And then we're also looking to engage various KOLs and basically community members to kind of tell them a little bit more about analog, as well as kind of tell their communities a little bit more about analog. So as we launch the incentivized testnet moving forward, I think we're going to be more and more public, and you're going to hear more and more about analog as kind of these things develop.
I'm here. Sorry, Eric. I was somebody tried to call me in the middle. I have to tell people not to call me whenever I'm on Spaces. Cool, man. That's amazing. Thank you very much for being, very transparent. I think everyone appreciates when projects do that. I know there's limitations on what you can and cannot disclose around these things. It can be quite sensitive, but that's amazing. Essentially, it sounds like Analog is shaping up to be, pretty much a tier one launch in Web3, and I hope everyone's really looking forward to it and is excited as I am about Analog, and what it's going to bring to Web3. So the next question for me would be, what do what would be your ask now for people listening and in the community, and how can they get involved? I know you talked about incentivized test nets. Is that quite technical? Is there other things people can be doing to get involved? I know big projects like yours look to really reward early community members. So, can you give a bit more information about that?
Yeah, so I think actually I did mention a little bit earlier about the community part of the incentivized testnet. So for that, most people can actually get involved to some extent. So the whole idea of it, so the current is that we are going to launch a few applications on top of the testnet that average people can use. So right now, the first kind of or like at least interact with, right? So the first app that we launched is called the Analog Watch, and Analog Watch is a very developer focused app. However, what we did is we gamified it a little bit in order to kind of actually populate the smart contracts and data within the Analog Watch. So what we have is basically we call it the watch game, where users can vote for smart contracts or views or whatnot that also developers upload, and then they can essentially vote for views, etc., that users think are going to be very useful for Analog Watch. And then basically by participating in this and kind of we're essentially crowdsourcing this knowledge, you can essentially be part of this incentivized testnet program. In addition to that, there's going to be DeFi as well as NFT related applications that we're hopefully going to launch before the mainnet as well, that are also going to be included within that scheme. I don't think we've announced this anywhere else before this talk, by the way, publicly. So this is actually the first time I'm talking about something like this. So these additional apps, but the idea is that there's going to be more and more stuff for the general community to do as things go on. And ideally speaking, right now the airdrop percentage publicly stated is about 2%, but if things go well, we will see if we can increase that amount a little bit to accommodate the high influx of volume that we're seeing right now in the testnet.
Awesome. That's some proper alpha here, brought to you by Eric. So hope everyone who is an active community member and loves to participate in Web3 ecosystems is taking notes and getting prepared to spend even more time in front of your computer and your phone. I'm sure your nearest and dearest will be super happy with that. Bull markets are tough. Tell them in the bear market that you can spend time with your families. Cool, Eric. This is great, man. I'm just wondering if there's anything else you want to touch on. Is there anything we haven't mentioned so far, or is there maybe any other alpha you want to drop, or do you just want to give your market outlook? I know we're having a nice week. It's a green week so far. Do you think we're set to continue? I know that you're a crypto kind of OG sort of, so to speak. How are you seeing things playing out in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think the Ethereum ETF news seems pretty promising for the market being a little bit more positive compared to, let's say, a month ago. And specifically, I think for the interoperability space, I think things are looking really good. I don't know if you guys know, but there's been a few major interoperability product launches, like from some of our competitors recently. So, for example, if you see Zeta Chain or let's say Wormhole, for example, they've had very successful or fairly successful launches, I would say, in terms of their FTV and how things are going. And I think there's going to be a few more interoperability projects, such as us. Like, we view ourselves as a tier one project, of course. They're going to be launching really soon, and because of this whole bull market, I think generally I'm positive about the outlook in terms of a like a narrative perspective for interoperability and kind of interest perspective in that sense. But yeah, I do think overall the general kind of market as well will be positive in the near future.
Nice, man. Nice. Are you only holding then interoperability layer zero style tokens, or what else are you sort of degenning into right now?
Yeah, I've done a few Solana meme coins these days, but unfortunately they didn't like I didn't pick any of the popular ones, unfortunately. So most of them have
Jo-
died in the last month or so.
Join the club, man. Join the club. I think there's 1% of people out there that is like on the moon right now, and the rest of us have just put them there basically. Um, yeah, man, that's them's the breaks, huh? We know that when we go into meme coins that, it's either going to do extraordinary well or very likely to do nothing at all. Um, good stuff, Eric. Well, listen, allow me to give a quick update then on things Commonwealth side. So as you know, very much, there was the first free fund. It was the first fund actually on Commonwealth, and that is going really well. Two of the projects have launched and are doing really, really well. So Nibiru, who we have an AMA with later today, and also Nine Heroes, the game that's caused quite a big stir. Those are both launched and are trading really nicely, actually. So the market is tough out there for newly launched projects in general. It's not the same as last cycle yet. A lot of people think it's still coming because we're maybe still a bit early in the cycle to see, the huge kind of furore that comes with a nice big launch. Also, let's factor in that in the last cycle, we had the Alameda and FTX effect, which was, I think, artificially inflating quite a lot of launch prices. So maybe we shouldn't have our sights set on such dramatic and unsustainable launches. But the ones that have launched from the free fund, which is now called the Priceless Fund, by the way, because who wants something free? Maybe, but who wants something priceless? Everybody. And projects like Analog, projects like Nibiru, projects like Blocklords, Nine Heroes, Diamond Swap, we had a great update from yesterday. These are all fantastic projects that are launching on Web3, and the first two are doing really, really well, which I think is super encouraging for the model, and also for everybody who worked their asses off to get a slice of the free fund, now priceless fund. So that's going well. Since then, we've launched another fund called the Alpha Fund. It hasn't made any investments yet, but it was the first time that anybody could invest just with USD, so with stable coins, and that filled up super fast. So it's kind of proving again that there is this appetite for people to get in earlier into early sort of pre-launch investment rounds of these projects. Of course, it's the whole kind of niche of the market where VCs have obviously been predominantly the ones to dominate it, but now on-chain VCs and community like VC like Commonwealth is, it's really a game changer for people to be able to have that access. So of course the Alpha Fund did well. Let's see what the projects are that the Alpha Fund ends up going into. We know that there's a special interest in like the Bitcoin. Also, I would say interoperability pieces, because anything that is attaching itself to Bitcoin needs to be interoperable, because it needs to be able to relate to ETH and other ecosystems. So that's a big focus area. What else? There's AI, of course. There's DePIN, real world assets, of course. Everybody is really, I think, sold on the idea that if the future does hold a big space for blockchain and for Web3, we will need to onboard this, trillion-dollar industry, which, tokenizes real world assets. That's a huge thing and a huge, use case, of course, for the technology that we all know and love. What else? And of course, gaming. Gaming is still there. People do realize that, Web3 does actually make gaming better. So of course, it's another great use case, and these are the things that the Alpha Fund is focusing on. That was a community decision. I think it's really great that we've gone in that direction as All Street, and I can tell you there's already links to really phenomenal projects in those categories that I've just mentioned. And yeah, we're only going to work with the best here in Commonwealth, because the oracles who are connected to Commonwealth are the ones who are making these linkages from the founders to the community. And I think this is this is the niche that Commonwealth is filling, and so far it's going pretty well. Today's a huge day for us as well, Eric. We've got the public sale of the Wealth token over on Paid Network. So all hands are on pump. Everybody is fully deployed trying to make that a huge success. And that is the moment that obviously the community grows from what it was yesterday to what it will be tomorrow, which is a much bigger community, of course, holding the Wealth tokens. So anybody who's interested in that, please, just check out the details on our pinned post in our Twitter. You'll be able to see how to navigate your way to Paid Network and to participate. It's an open pool, so essentially anybody who registers successfully can participate in the open pool. That's happening today as well. So lots going on Commonwealth side, and we will also be running more gamification and rewards, so like quests, for the projects in both of the funds that I just mentioned, the Priceless Fund and the Alpha Fund. So Eric, whenever it's time, do let us know what you want the community to be most active in, and we will bake that into the rewards program as well. So we will be staying in touch on that as well. Is there anything, Eric, you want to ask me before we jump off?
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned about the Wealth token sale. Can you describe a little bit more about that and how that could, for example, benefit the analog community?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'll try and frame it in a way that it benefits the island. I'll make the connection, and then you can probe me a little bit more. So the Wealth token, essentially is what unlocks the whole ecosystem of Commonwealth. Essentially, every investment that Commonwealth makes on the platform, whenever that investment is successful and does well, there's a value creation moment, right? And the investor, or the person who uses the app and makes the investment, obviously receives upside, but so too does the protocol. So every time there's a successful investment, it's not just the people who are using the app and investing into the funds that do well. It's the people who own wealth tokens as well, because all of the value that gets created that for the protocol stays in the protocol. We're not doing any equity. There's no equity model in Commonwealth. It's all decentralization first principles, meaning that all of the value is accruing to the protocol and to the token holders. So long-term proposition for holding Wealth is that you're actually becoming an owner of the protocol, and obviously with that comes governance. So you'll be participating in the big decisions if you're a holder of Wealth token. You can also use the Wealth token to reduce fees. Now, when it comes to the analog community, I'm not sure if anybody in the analog community invested into was participating into the gamification and won the slices of the free fund. If they did, then owning Wealth token is important because you get to reduce the fees that you would pay. So there's a nominal value of the Priceless Fund. It was, I think, 1.35 million. Uh, Once the value of the returns from that fund goes over 1.35 million, that's when the sort of profit share with the protocol kicks in. And if you want to reduce how much you share with the protocol, you'll be wanting to stake wealth tokens. You can bring the profit share down from 40% right down to 10%. I'd love the analog community to come and be part of All Street. It already is through the free fund, but there's many ways to interact with Web3 ecosystems through Commonwealth and be rewarded. Yeah, so that's kind of my answer. I don't know if there's anything else you want me to kind of elaborate on.
No, I think that all makes sense. I think it's going to be great if we can kind of get the analog community more involved in what you guys are doing, and kind of have them be able to earn more analog tokens as well as other tokens within your fund as well.
Yeah, awesome, man. Let's noodle on that and see how we can do that. There's definitely ways we can we can make that happen. And Tony, I mentioned, was he's dropped off now, but he probably had another meeting. But I will be speaking to him later. So he's the chief sort of engineer on Commonwealth, and he'll be thinking about ways to integrate that. But for now, it's for sure. Super possible for anybody to get involved in Commonwealth. So the analog community should come in, and let's think of ways where we can, sort of cross enrich the communities more. I think that's the way to go for sure.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks so much.
Nice one, Eric. Well, listen, thank you for taking time out of your day for this AMA and this update. I hope people found it useful. Again, Analog is one of the projects that I'm looking forward to most in this cycle. I do like these layer zero in quote unquote style infrastructures. They're obviously what's needed. As a user of Web3 every single day, it is incredibly frustrating to bridge between different ecosystems and pay crappy fees all the time, all over the place, and just the friction is just so high. So, of course, if we're going to make this whole technology useful for the everyday user, like people like my wife, if I tell her, I've only told her, by the way, that there's Ethereum so far. I sent her an Ethereum for Christmas, and I haven't had the heart to also tell her that she can have a Solana wallet where I can send her Solana to, because she already finds it very confusing to have Ethereum and she doesn't know what to do with it. So like people like that, like how are we going to make this experience like in any way acceptable for them? It is through technologies like Analog. And I know that you guys have thought long and hard about this in terms of the real world application and reducing the friction. And you have the team to pull it off. I think that's the main thing that I identify with Analog. So brilliant stuff, Eric. I look forward to hearing more updates soon. And let's pencil in another update in like a month or two when you're getting closer to the launch.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, happy to give another update whenever the community wants to see it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being here today. And thank you to All Street and also the Analog community for tuning in. And any questions, just jump into the chat on either Analog side or our side, and everyone will be happy to help you, I'm sure. So have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.